You are not being pulled over right now. You are just driving. Windows up, music low, hands on the wheel. You are doing everything right. Then the lights hit your mirror and your stomach drops anyway, because even innocent people panic when they see those lights. And that panic, that completely natural human reaction, is exactly what the system is counting on. Because within the first 30 seconds of that stop, before you hand over a single document, before the officer has even looked at your license, you are going to be asked a question. It sounds like nothing. It sounds like the kind of thing a neighbor might say to you across a fence on a Sunday afternoon. But that question is not a conversation. It is a legal technique. It is used at every traffic stop across every state in this country. And the answer most drivers give in response, the honest, nervous, trying to be cooperative answer, is the single most common reason innocent people end up in handcuffs. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that question is, exactly why it is dangerous, exactly what it is legally designed to do, and the precise words you need to say when it gets asked. Because it will get asked. It always does. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, this is where we break down the traffic laws, constitutional rights, and police encounter rules that every driver in America should know, but almost nobody is ever taught. Today, we are going into one of the most important topics we have ever covered on this channel. A question so common, so rehearsed, and so carefully constructed that most drivers never once stop to question why they are being asked it. Quick note before we go further. Everything in this video is based on documented law, Supreme Court rulings, and established legal precedent. This is not legal advice for your specific situation. If you are facing charges or a serious legal issue, please consult a licensed attorney in your state. But if you want to understand what is actually happening the next time an officer approaches your window, stay right here. Section 1. What the 4-word trap actually is. The question is this: do you know why? 4 words. Do you know why? It is almost always the beginning of a longer sentence. Do you know why I pulled you over tonight? Do you know why I stopped you? Do you know what you were doing back there? It sounds like the officer is simply explaining the reason for the stop. It sounds routine and procedural and completely harmless. It is none of those things. That question is a legally structured admission prompt. It is used by law enforcement across the country as an opening technique to get drivers to volunteer information, confess to violations, and hand over evidence before they have any idea they are doing it. It is taught in law enforcement training. It has a purpose, and that purpose has nothing to do with being friendly. When you answer that question, and almost every driver does, you are not helping yourself. You are building the officer's case for them, word by word, before a single charge has been written. Section 2. Why every answer you give makes things worse. Think through the possible answers a typical driver gives to that question and watch how each one works against them. You say yes. You say something like, "I think I was going a little fast back there." You just confessed. That admission goes directly into the officer's report and becomes evidence of a violation you were never required to acknowledge. The officer did not have to prove you were speeding. You just proved it for him. You say no. You say you honestly have no idea why you were stopped. Now, the officer writes that you were unaware of your driving behavior. He frames that as inattentiveness behind the wheel. Something that sounded like an innocent answer just became documentation of distracted or careless driving. You say something vague. You say, "Maybe my taillight," or "I might have rolled that stop back there." You just introduced a violation the officer may not have even pulled you over for. You have now potentially added a second issue to the stop entirely on your own. There is no version of answering that question that helps you. Every response, the honest one, the uncertain one, the vague one, feeds the report. The question is not designed to give you a chance to explain yourself. It is designed to get you talking before you realize you should not be. Section 3. The legal framework behind the technique. Here is what the law actually says and why this matters. Under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution, you have the absolute right to remain silent and to not be compelled to be a witness against yourself. That right does not begin at the police station. It does not begin at the moment of arrest. It applies the instant an officer begins asking you questions during any encounter, including a routine traffic stop. The Supreme Court addressed this directly in Burkham v. McCarty, decided in 1984. The court ruled that the roadside questioning that occurs during a traffic stop is custodial in nature, and that the protections against self-incrimination apply throughout that interaction. The fact that you are sitting in your car on a public road does not suspend your constitutional protections. The court also ruled in Salinas v. Texas, decided in 2013, that while you have the right to remain silent, simply going quiet without invoking that right can actually be used against you in certain circumstances. This is the part almost nobody talks about. Staying silent without saying why you are staying silent is not the same as asserting your Fifth Amendment right. You need to actually invoke it, and you need to do it clearly and calmly. Beyond that, courts have consistently held that officers are permitted to ask questions during a traffic stop, but drivers are not required to answer them. The legal obligation during a standard traffic stop extends to 3 things only: your driver's license, your vehicle registration, your proof of insurance. Everything else, every question about where you are going, where you came from, whether you know why you were stopped, is legally optional for you to answer, regardless of how mandatory it feels at the moment. Section 4. The first 8 seconds decide everything. Before you say a single word, the officer has already started evaluating you. This is not speculation. This is documented in law enforcement training materials and confirmed in court testimony from officers across the country. From the moment they approach your vehicle, they are noting your body language, your eye movement, whether your hands are visible, whether you appear nervous beyond what they consider normal, whether your speech is clear or slurred, whether there are any odors coming from the vehicle, and how quickly you respond to their presence. The question, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" is not the beginning of the evaluation. It is a continuation of one that already started. By the time they ask it, they have already formed early impressions. What they are doing with that question is seeing whether your verbal response matches or contradicts what they have already observed. They are looking for inconsistencies. They are looking for admissions. They are looking for anything that gives them documented grounds to escalate the stop. This is why the answer you give in the first 10 seconds carries so much legal weight. You are not correcting a misunderstanding. You are either confirming or complicating a narrative the officer has already begun writing in his head. Section 5. The exact words to say. Here is what you say when the officer asks, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" These are the exact words. Write them down if you need to. "Officer, I would prefer not to answer questions." "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" That is it. Nothing more. Here is why every piece of that works. I would prefer not to answer questions calmly, respectfully, and professionally. It does not sound combative. It does not sound guilty. It sounds like someone who knows their rights and is exercising them without drama. The officer has no legitimate grounds to write hostile or uncooperative in that report because you have not been either of those things. "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" is the most powerful follow-up you can ask during any police encounter. It forces the officer to make a legal declaration. If he says you are free to go, you leave politely and immediately. If he says you are being detained, he is now legally required to have articulable reasonable suspicion to justify that detention. You have placed the entire legal burden on him with one sentence. If the officer pushes back, if he says, "Come on, just answer the question," or "You're making this harder than it needs to be," your response stays the same. "Officer, I have provided my license and registration. I am exercising my right not to answer further questions." Stay calm. Stay quiet. Do not fill the silence. Silence is not guilt. Silence is a constitutional right being exercised correctly. If at any point the encounter escalates beyond a question, if you are asked to step out of the vehicle, you comply physically without argument under Pennsylvania versus Mims, decided in 1977. But compliance with a physical instruction is not the same as answering questions. You step out, you stay calm. You say nothing beyond this. I would like to speak with an attorney before answering any questions. Every traffic stop in America follows a pattern, and inside that pattern is a question designed to get you to do the officer's job for him before you even realize what is happening. Do you know why I pulled you over is not curiosity? It is a technique. It has always been a technique. And now you know exactly what it is designed to do and exactly how to respond to it without panic, without lying, and without handing over a single word that can be used against you. The Constitution does not only protect you inside a courtroom, it protects you at the side of the road at 11 o'clock at night when the lights are flashing and your hands are shaking. But only if you know it is there. Now you do. Hit that like button if this video gave you something you did not know before. Subscribe so you never miss another update on your rights as a driver. Share this with someone who drives, because most people will face this question and have no idea what is actually being asked. Drop a comment below with the traffic stop situation you want covered next, and I will build an entire video around it. Stay protected, stay informed, see you in the next one.